the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Lord, show me the way." The air in the boardroom was thick with the scent of ambition and arrogance, a heavy perfume that clung to the polished mahogany table and the floor-to-ceiling windows. From this dizzying height, the world below was a silent, insignificant tapestry of steel and glass, much like the woman who quietly moved among the suited figures. Naomi, in her uniform of corporate-issued blue, was a ghost in this realm of titans. Her mop bucket, a humble vessel of water and cleaner, was a stark contrast to the crystal decanters and leather portfolios that littered the table. 6 months pregnant, her movements were slow, methodical, a deliberate effort to be as invisible as possible, to simply do her job and collect the day's wages that would keep her small, fragile world afloat. At the head of the table sat Mr. Caldwell, a man whose silver hair matched the shine of his perfectly tailored suit. His power was an almost physical presence, a weight that settled on every object and every person in the room. Beside him, 2 men and 1 woman, all directors, sat back in their chairs, their laughter as loud and grating as the clash of 100 cymbals. They were a collective of wealth and privilege, their self-satisfaction a visible aura. Their conversation, a low hum of deals and dividends, began to shift. It was the female director, a woman with a perfectly coiffed blonde bob and a diamond on every finger, who first noticed Naomi. A cruel smile played on her lips. My, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Look at that! Cleaning for us while carrying a child. Don't you think that's a bit undignified?" The others laughed. Caldwell chuckled, the sound a dry, rustling thing. "Leave the help alone, Brenda. You'll scare her." A different director, a burly man with a booming voice, leaned forward. No, she has a point. I wonder what kind of life a child like that will have. Born to the floor, it seems." The laughter swelled, a wave of ridicule. Naomi's hand tightened around the mop handle, her knuckles white. She tried to retreat, to shrink into the corner, to be the shadow they already saw her as. But they were relentless. "Look at her," the second male director sneered. "Probably dropped out of high school. Can't spell a word, I bet." "What do you think, Caldwell? Should we give her a spelling test?" Brenda, the female director, leaned back with a theatrical sigh. "Oh, let's not. It's too pathetic. I just hope her child tries harder than its mother." Naomi felt a hot, humiliating flush creep up her neck. Her eyes welled with tears, but she blinked them back, refusing to let them fall. In her mind, she was no longer in this sterile, mocking room. She was back in a past life, a different person. She remembered poring over books, her mind alight with a passion for languages. She had dreamed of being a polyglot, a translator at the United Nations, a woman of words and bridge building. She remembered praying, a desperate, earnest plea to God to help her achieve her dreams. But life, as she knew, was not a dream. Her parents had passed away, and with them, the money for her education. The books were replaced by cleaning supplies, the international halls of diplomacy by the endless corridors of its tower. And now, here she was, her past a ghost, her present a cruel joke for these people. "The world wasn't made for people like you," the burly director stated, his voice final and definitive. Their laughter, a cacophony of entitlement, filled the room. For them she was an object, a spectacle of poverty and naivety. They saw only her uniform, her belly, and the mop in her hand. Naomi closed her eyes. The humiliation was a crushing weight. She prayed silently, her lips not moving, her plea a raw cry of the heart. Please, God, what do I do now? As if in answer, a strange, quiet power settled over her. The sting of tears vanished, replaced by a cold resolve. She looked down at her swollen belly, and a surge of protective fire ran through her veins. This child would not be taught to bow down. This child would not be taught to be invisible. She would not let this moment define them. The strange strength that she had never felt before in her life pushed her forward. She let go of the mop and stood upright, her shoulders back, her head held high. She turned to face them, her gaze steady, locking eyes with each of them in turn. The laughter died. The room fell silent, the abruptness of her defiance catching them off guard. Caldwell leaned forward, a sardonic smirk on his face. Well now, look at that. The help has something to say. Don't get sassy, girl. We're in the middle of a meeting. Naomi's voice was clear, calm, and resonant, a sharp contrast to the earlier cacophony. I have something to say, she stated. I speak 11 languages. The room was still, not the expectant stillness of a meeting, but the stunned, breathless silence of shock. Caldwell's smirk faltered. The directors exchanged incredulous glances. That's cheap talk, Caldwell scoffed, quickly regaining his composure. Prove it. Without a moment's hesitation, Naomi began to speak. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? She said in flawless French, her pronunciation perfect. She continued in Spanish, then German, her words a flowing river of sound and meaning. She moved effortlessly from Russian to Arabic, her tone and accent shifting with each tongue. She spoke Chinese, Hindi, Swahili, Italian, and finally, Japanese. The air was filled with a tapestry of international sounds, each word perfectly articulated, each sentence grammatically flawless. The directors were spellbound. Their faces, a moment ago so full of scorn, were now frozen in a mask of awe. No one dared to laugh. The burly director's mouth hung slightly ajar. Brenda, the female director's hand covered her mouth in stunned silence. When Naomi finished, the silence returned, heavier and more profound than before. She looked at them, her eyes full of a quiet fire. You saw a pregnant cleaning lady, she said, her voice dropping to a low, powerful whisper. But what you couldn't see was the scholar, the woman who dreamed of the United Nations, the one who lost her parents and had to trade her textbooks for a mop. You can't see the years I spent learning, the knowledge I've collected, because you think your money is the only thing of value. You think you're so smart. But you look down and see nothing, while I look up and see the whole world. You call me ignorant, but you are the ones who are truly blind. Her words hung in the air, a final, unassailable truth. The shame on their faces was palpable. Caldwell looked down, fiddling with a pen. You've been here for years, and we never saw you, not once. Because you didn't want to, Naomi replied, a simple, painful truth. He looked up, his arrogance gone, replaced by a humbled expression. I apologize, Naomi. You will never be invisible in this building again. Naomi took a deep breath, the air no longer thick with contempt, but with a strange, sober clarity. She placed a hand on her pregnant belly. I don't need your permission to exist, she said. But I hope you remember this. Every single person in this building has value. Every single person. She turned to leave, her back straight, her stride purposeful. She was no longer a ghost, but a presence, a force of nature. As she reached the door, a quiet voice called out, "Naomi, please wait." It was the distinguished director, Mr. Harrison, the one who had been silent for the entire exchange. He stood, his expression one of immense respect. Naomi turned back. "I have a friend at the United Nations," he said, his voice quiet. "They're looking for a new secretary with your qualifications. I can make the call. Once you have your child and are ready, I would be honored to help you get the job. I will support you until then." Tears welled in Naomi's eyes, this time tears of gratitude. "Why would you do this for me?" she asked, her voice trembling. He offered a gentle smile. "I believe God told me too. I had a dream last night, you see. He simply appeared and said, 'Help those who are downtrodden if you can.' Perhaps this is what he meant." Naomi felt her heart swell. The immense, strange strength that had risen within her just moments ago, she now knew, wasn't her own. She whispered a quiet thank you to the heavens and accepted his offer. The remaining millionaires sat in stunned, silent shame, a group of powerful men and women who had just been taught a profound lesson by a woman they had tried to erase.